Welcome to this complimentary AWS Marketplace video tutorial by Cybrary.
In this preview, we will cover a brief demonstration of Fortinet FortiWeb Cloud Web Application Firewall as a Service. This solution runs on AWS and protects your web applications from the OWASP top 10 threats, APTs, malware, bots, denial of service attacks, and zero-day attacks. It also offers efficient and cost-effective deployment within the same AWS region that simplifies regulatory requirements and reduces bandwidth cost. Here, I just finished onboarding an application. This is the Ohio application, and you can see the domain ohio.fwbdemo.com. The applications page allows you to see all of your applications in a single location. Here, you can see the list of applications that have been onboarded, the domain names, and the platform, which in this case is AWS. You can also see the region and DNS status. The applications page provides a snapshot of the environment so you can see how many block requests in each environment that you have and how many requests overall in this particular month. You can also see how much data has traversed through FortiWeb Cloud within the month, and you can see whether the applications are running in block mode. Let's take a look at the default configuration that every new onboarded application starts with. On the left side, you can see the Global tab, which shows you which applications have been onboarded, global templates, audit logs, and more. The global templates allow you to configure a security policy and push it across multiple applications. Let's look at the security policies that are being used by default. The first one is Known Attacks. Known Attacks is a signature database for FortiWeb Cloud, and it includes various categories such as cross-site scripting, SQL injection, generic attacks, known exploits, and Trojans. The signature database is updated every 2 weeks by Fortinet with items listed under one of these 5 categories. The database is also updated when new zero-day attacks are discovered. You'll notice that you can disable the entire known attacks layer with a single click or any of the 5 security modules listed. But what happens if a signature triggers a violation on legitimate traffic, which is known as a false positive? The Create Exception Rule button allows you to disable a signature for a particular URL or a particular parameter. You can also create an exception directly from the attack log. You can also enforce that rule on a particular parameter so the signature would only be disabled for this URL that contains this parameter. You can configure these using regular expressions as well. The Create Exception rule allows you to have granularity since web applications are dynamic and often trigger false positives. You can also scroll through all of the different signatures. Here you can see all the signatures for cross-site scripting. And you can see that you have a description for this particular signature and then an example of the type of request that would trigger that signature. Let's navigate to the Request Limits tab on the left side. This is an HTTP RFC compliance security layer. This ensures access to the application is done according to the HTTP RFC. You can edit these global configurations. For example, you could lower the header length to make it more restrictive. There are a variety of rules that can be used, and these are helpful in preventing buffer overflow attacks and others. Let's look at Ddos Prevention next on the left side. Here you can see there are threshold-based rules for both the application and network layers. For example, you see there's a threshold limit of 1,000 HTTP requests per second from a single client number. You may want to add more advanced security settings to your applications. This can be done free of charge with FortiWeb Cloud. You can do this by selecting the Add Modules option on the left side. Here you can see there are additional security policies that could be added, like anomaly detection, information leakage, cookie security, and more. If you have an application that allows customers to upload files, you would want to make sure that these files are scanned using the integrated antivirus and also have the ability to send those files to a sandbox to scan them for additional zero-day malware threats. You can also enable IP protection, which allows or blocks IP addresses based on their geolocation, and set your own custom rules. There are also several types of policies that can protect APIs, such as schema validation with OpenAPI. You can also protect against credential stuffing attacks with the account takeover option. This tracks the authentication page of your application and ensures no attackers are injecting known breached credentials. For this demonstration, we'll just turn all of these features on and select the OK button. You can see them added on the left side of the page. There is no cost associated with using these. Let's navigate to the attack log settings, which allows you to forward attack logs to an external server. Using syslog, which is a good way to integrate into a SIEM solution. You can also specify to get alerts when a particular attack is occurring on the system. Let's take a look at the templates next. Earlier we talked about configuring policies and security configurations for the applications. FortiWeb Cloud lets you configure a particular policy and push that across multiple applications. We'll select the Create Template option, give the template a name, and select the applications that this template will be used for. If you look inside of the template, you see settings that you can adjust. These changes will be automatically pushed to the applications chosen for this template. You can see the known attacks options and the request limits, like you had seen earlier in this demonstration. You can add modules as well. Templates are a great way to manage multiple applications. Let's navigate back to adding a module and enable file protection. And you can see on the left side the file protection has been added. So let's turn on the protection and scanning for Trojans, antivirus, and advanced threat protection, and then we'll save the changes. These changes are then automatically pushed to the applications we had chosen earlier for this template. Let's navigate back to the applications, and you can see they are presented a little bit differently because they are now managed through a template. If you look at known attacks on the left side, you will notice the settings are grayed out. This is because you are using the template. On the top right, you notice that Inherit Template is turned on, which just means that this security policy is managed through a template. With a single click, you can turn off this feature and then get very granular in configuring specific policies for different applications. Let's navigate back to the template page and remove the template we had created. Next, we'll navigate to the Audit Log section. Anything that happens on FortiWeb Cloud is going to be logged for the purposes of auditing. Admin Management allows you to add additional users to the account. You could set specific settings for each user. To create a new user, select the Add User button, enter their username, select their permissions, and save the change. Settings is another global configuration area that allows you to define reports, logs, and set alerts. The default email address for alerts will be the one you registered with, but you can also add additional users to the alerts by selecting the Custom option. You can also export the audit logs to a third-party service like a SIEM. We talked about the Applications page, and we also talked about default security policies. One of the most important things that an administrator would do on a daily basis is review the attack logs. Remember, when you onboard an application, you either start with block mode enabled or disabled. It's recommended that for the first few days after you onboard an application, you disable block mode. This means that any triggered violation will not be blocked and will only be alerted on. This allows your administrator to identify any false positives that are from legitimate traffic. When you introduce a new solution that blocks requests to web applications, it could trigger false positives. This is the dynamic of a web application firewall, and because of the differences in web applications, false positives can happen. The exception whitelisting capability within the product can then be used to tune the security policies and make sure that no legitimate traffic is blocked, and then you can enable block mode. Under the Attack Logs tab, you will see a list of attacks if there are any. Here, you can see the date and the action is to block. If you had block mode disabled, this would instead say Monitor. The threat level is the severity level of a violation. You'll also notice that all of the URLs in this example are the root directory, and the known attacks shows us which policy triggered the violation. If we select this first violation, you can see additional information. You can see the source IP address and port, the protocol, country, and the user agent. If you navigate to the Known Attacks tab, you can see the categories that are turned on. Navigate back to the attack logs, and you can see that the SQL injection attack was a violation in the parameter. Select the signature ID to see additional information about the signature. Notice that the signature itself is not provided, but a short description and an example of an attack are provided. Back on the attacks log page, you can also see if there is a CVE listed with the alert. If it was, you could select the CVE to learn additional information about it. You also see it categorizes the attack based on the OWASP top 10. If you select the A1 2017 injection, it will take you to the OWASP top 10 page to learn more about it. Let's say that you knew this alert was a false positive. You can select the Add Exception option to whitelist the signature. The next thing an administrator would typically do is look at the request itself. And here you can see the FortiWeb Cloud provides all the information in a presentable manner. FortiWeb Cloud provides information from the HTTP body and header information. You can also see that the characters that triggered the alert are highlighted in yellow. Let's look at the cross-site scripting attack next. You can see this attack came from France and used an automated tool. You can see information on the signature, and similar to the SQL injection attack, you can select the link to read more about the OWASP Top 10. You can refresh the attack logs page using the reload button, and you can add and filter. Let's add a filter and then select Threat Subtype from the drop-down menu, and then search for SQL injection. Now you can see the list is filtered to just the SQL injection alerts. Let's select the attack log settings, and here's where you can forward your logs to a SIM solution. The attack log we just viewed provides you the ability to look at a single event and create filters. Sometimes you will want to understand what is going on in your environment from a different perspective. That's where FortiView comes in. FortiView is a comprehensive monitoring system for your network and integrates real-time and historical data into one single view and allows you to log and monitor threats to your network and filter your data on multiple levels. Let's take a look at the threat map. By default, it shows the last hour. But you can change this to see the last 24 hours. In this demonstration environment, the violations I had happened several days ago, which is why you don't see them listed here. Let's look at the threats by countries next, and you can see a snapshot of what happened in your environment over a period of time. Here, you can see the number of events, the threat score, the service affected, and the action that was taken by FortiWeb Cloud. You can drill down into each country and see the attack logs from that location, including the threat score and the action taken. Select IP protection and you can see the custom rule. You can also view information on the HTTP methods, URLs, OWASP Top 10, and CVE IDs. FortiWeb Cloud is a string and comprehensive tool to analyze logs over a period of time and helps you understand what is going on in your environment. After you finish onboarding an application to FortiWeb Cloud, the network configuration is automatically done for you. However, there might be cases where you would need to change something manually or something is not working properly and you need to debug it. In the network settings, you can see there are two tabs, Endpoints and Origin Servers. FortiWeb Cloud is a reverse proxy, which means if clients access the application directly by browsing to it, or if it's an API, a calling API in the application, once you introduce FortiWeb Cloud, the clients access the application through an IP on FortiWeb Cloud, and then FortiWeb Cloud will forward that traffic after scanning the request for security violations to the origin server. Here you can see we have onboarded the Virginia application. You can see the protocol can be defined, and you can also disable options with a single click. You can also set the SSL or TLS level and have all traffic redirected from HTTP to HTTPS. FortiWeb Cloud also allows you to define the encryption level. You can see that by default, high-level encryption is enabled. Let's talk about security certificates for a moment. Typically, there are two options when you introduce a reverse proxy that has to terminate the traffic before forwarding back to the application. You either have to upload the certificates from the web application to FortiWeb Cloud in order for FortiWeb Cloud to present itself to the client as the application, or use automatic certificates, which use Let's Encrypt to generate certificates on the fly. How it works is that the application calls Let's Encrypt using an API call, and then Let's Encrypt automatically generates a certificate for FortiWeb Cloud for that particular application. It's important to understand that this process works on the back end because there may be situations where something is broken or the application doesn't allow certain actions that are needed, so an automatic security certificate will not work. In those instances, you need to correct the issue or upload your own certificates from your web application. You can do that by selecting the Custom Certificates option. Endpoints are really the hosting on FortiWeb Cloud, and the origin servers are where FortiWeb Cloud is forwarding the traffic back to, and the origin servers are the applications themselves. You can add and configure additional servers, and if you have multiple servers defined, FortiWeb Cloud supports server load balancing. You can configure the load balancing by selecting the Action option on the right side. Here you can select the load balancing algorithm, persistence, and health checks to identify if the origin server is available or not. Here we are on the Fortinet FortiWeb Cloud Web Application Firewall as a Service product detail page. Fortinet FortiWeb Cloud Web Application Firewall as a Service is found in AWS Marketplace Digital Catalog. What you are seeing is a sampling of Fortinet solution found in AWS Marketplace. As you can see, Fortinet FortiWeb Cloud Web Application Firewall as a Service product detail page in AWS Marketplace allows you to see an overview of the solution along with pricing and usage information, support information, and a listing of any reviews on the solution in AWS Marketplace. AWS Marketplace helps customers move to the cloud quickly and cost-effectively by allowing them to find software that runs on AWS from a breadth of categories in AWS Marketplace. Test software quickly to validate effectiveness before purchasing. Buy through flexible pricing options, and deploy with a variety of delivery methods. Thank you for watching this preview of the Fortinet FortiWeb Cloud Web Application Firewall as a Service, found in AWS Marketplace. We invite you to explore this solution and many more in AWS Marketplace.